I just want to get more of you. There it is. Well, I enjoyed our chat. And we are rolling.
I didn't know that I was going to have Sola until like 3 months before I even started. People have like a year's plan and they're like, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It was birthed out of probably panic. I was a mum of 2 small children and I just felt like I had such limited skills. So I'd been a beauty therapist since I was 18. I was working in retail and I just was like, there has to be more than this. And I needed to make some more money than that. I actually applied for a job with Air New Zealand and I didn't get it. And I panicked and I was like, what am I going to do? And my partner actually had that idea, like, what if you started your own thing? And I was like, I don't want to go back to beauty. I'd been out of it for a year and a half and I was just like, nah, I don't want to do it. He's like, but what if you just did it your way? And so I dared to believe that I could. And so actually the original idea started with 1 day a week, 2 to 3 facials, if I was lucky, and that it was within the boundaries of our family, with my capacity, that I could still be the mum that I wanted to be, but bring in some finances. And so that's where it started, and I found a place to rent, and then it fell through. And I was like, And then I drove past the studio that we're in now and I was like, what if I asked? And so I reached out thinking again that they probably would say no, thinking that rent would be outside of my budget. And they said yes. And then I was like,
dang.
And so about 3 months later, I was painting and renovating and getting things off Facebook Marketplace. Like, we had no money. We were scrounging around. We like designed the logo. We were asking friends for name ideas. Marketplace curtains, friends plants, like everything was just like, it has to do. It will be enough. It will make do. Like, just start. Well, the alternative was to stay in retail. I needed to do something else. I knew my mental health was starting to like really suffer for it. I just felt so redundant with my skill set. And I feel like a lot of mums feel like that when they are time to re-enter the workplace. Like, you just feel like nothing, but you've actually kept humans alive,
which is something.
which is huge.
Something. It's a lot,
and it's wild.
Yeah, you lose yourself in many ways, but I think that feeling of like agency in the world kind of goes, and that feeling of value in the world kind of goes. I'm so glad you did this, because you really do have so much experience in this industry. You didn't want to go back to what you were doing before, but you had so much to give still.
Yeah, there's ideas of, especially in business, that we sacrifice everything and just absolutely give everything and then live the life that we want. But I want that to really be a beacon for me, is that I'm already going to start at the start of what I want. And maybe it doesn't make heaps of money at the start, but I know that I'm not going to burn out in the process. And that's really vital for me. I want to do this for the long run. I want to be there for my kids. I want to be there for my husband. And so that means like having boundaries and knowing my capacity and sustaining that in business is a real pillar for me.
We can exist in business and we can still play a part in society without absolutely destroying ourselves if it doesn't sit right with us. When you started, like pretty early on, I feel like the results, the reviews were consistently amazing. Did it land with you? How did you feel about getting that immediate response?
It feels so good that I even get to make people feel that way. So it's great. It's great because I had the best job in the world. I make people feel epic. So it lands really well. I knew that even when I started Sola, I wanted to do things my way. And so that's why I wanted to do facial massage, because I was like, I just didn't feel like I'd seen it much. And it was my favourite part of doing facials. But also, I am so passionate about people hopping into their bodies and being in their bodies. When you do that, you are experiencing something like you never do, because in our society, we just don't stop. But then also this idea of experiencing pleasurable touch that's non-sexual and that you don't have to give back. It's needed for women particularly. I mean,
it's
as well.
Powerful.
It's really powerful. Yeah. And I think in our society, we don't touch each other. We're becoming more and more disconnected from that human touch. And so I think that's also something really powerful that happens.
Yeah, and I think even when, like, I came for my first facial with you and I like had a partner, and you wouldn't think I was starved of touch. I've got kids climbing all over me. You wouldn't think I was starved of touch. It was so needed in that moment, and I didn't even know I needed it because I never felt that way before. I'd never had somebody touch me like that. I had facials before. They didn't feel like that. They did not feel like that. It feels like almost rebellious. In this day and age, because it's like we are just going so far away from human to human connection.
We're actually going to become really essential.
Yeah.
All massage therapists and facialists, I really believe that we're going to be so important in people's regular life moments to help ground them. And in the way that AI and that kind of thing are going, I think these interactions are going to be life-saving. There is a human pull to be connected again. We're so outside of the village, we're so out of that community. And I think the human nature is when we're overwhelmed and when we're burnt out, our nature is to withdraw, kind of go inwards and cut off connection. And I would love to rewrite that story of like, what if our nature was, I'm feeling burnt out, where are my people? How can I become connected and supported again? Like, how different would we see mental health be? Like, that would be so cool. I think.
I know that starting a business is like the very vulnerable thing. It's like you're putting yourself out into the world. You're kind of like shooting your shot in a way, in a very public way.
Yeah.
I think we've talked before about limiting beliefs. What's the kind of stuff that you've had to overcome in the process of being a business owner?
So my king lie is that I am not enough and that I'm going to be left behind. Imposter syndrome really fits really nicely to that. So this idea that I'm going to be found out that I'm a fake or that I don't know what I'm doing, and I've just had to really be like, you know what, you're enough and you've got this, and what you do is what you do. Like, you're not lying. Like, but it's just crazy how much I've had to overcome that. Business is a really good way to hear how you talk about yourself. Like, if you want to do some inner work and figure out what you think about yourself,
start a business. I believe that.
It's not about paying bills. Like, that can be stressful and making money, but far out, that inner thought of yourself is going to become louder and louder, and you've got to find tools to, I wouldn't even say you can't shut it off, you won't be able to shut it off, but you've got to find a way to either be really comfortable with it and then bring truth to it. And so, like, getting familiar with what it sounds like to be able to be like, yeah, I see you, but you're not serving me anymore. So
what do you wish more women knew?
I'm ever evolving, and so it's so hard to tell people how to be or what I wish for them. I guess I wish we as a collective woman just would feel more and more comfortable in our skin. And it really, I feel like we don't need permission to be ourselves. We're allowed to be ourselves, and we don't need to wait for someone to let us be ourselves. And that being fully in our skin, that's a given right. That's not something that we have to ask permission for.
We've talked a lot about the fact that this is kind of an alternative to Botox, and you obviously are talking to a type of customer who is wanting to embrace their natural beauty in a way, would you say?
Well, it started that way, but it's actually not. I have customers who have Botox and then customers that don't. And I think that even, again, evolving with my brand and evolving with the space is that all people are welcome, and all people need touch, and all people need to feel safe and held. And even on the beauty industry, like this idea that there's these have tos and should dos and need tos, and I'm like, no, you can you don't have to do anything.
And
I'm like, I kind of joke like I'm the worst salesperson, but I'm like, I'm calling BS on all this, and I find that, I think people find that quite refreshing when they come here. They're like, oh, she's not going to do hard sales on product, and they're like, when should I rebook? I'm like, babe, when do you need? And then they're like, oh yeah, I'd actually really like to see you again. I'm like, cool, let's do it. But there's this idea that I have to, and that again matches really well to my capacity and my need, because I'm like, I got burnt out from that, meeting these targets and meeting these things. So
because you worked in like traditional beauty,
so traditional,
right? So you were talking like just the usual like 11-step facials and like
peels and lights. I love what you said before about being rebellious. I definitely think that's kind of how I'm approaching business, and I'm approaching how I approach women too. There's these ideas that we have to be this certain way, and that we have to look a certain way, and if you don't want to dye your hair, don't dye your hair.
Right.
If you don't want Botox, don't get Botox. If you want Botox and you want to dye your hair and you want to get filler, do it. But ask yourself, why are you doing
100%.
it?
100%.
Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Are you doing it because you want it?
Yeah.
Go, girl.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to poo-poo on your choices. But if you're doing something because you feel like you have to, and people are telling that that's what is acceptable, I want you to be rebellious and start asking questions. And that's what I want for women. Beauty industry have a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
And we, as individual practitioners, I want us to ask ourselves a question: what noise and what am I contributing to this industry? And so in my tiny little corner in Tauranga, what is the noise that I'm making and what contribution am I making? And so this aligns with me, it aligns with my value. I can go to bed at night and know that I've done my part and I feel really good at that. And again, that might be an age thing. I want to work out of a place of integrity, and I really believe like that's going to serve me far. Right. I feel like the right people will come along my path, and I'm going to find them.
Yeah, and the right people will just resonate very heavily with what you do, and it will be, I think it is so refreshing. It is just like so different to what you get elsewhere, and that makes it so impactful, because it's just like,
refreshing.
Thank you for not pushing all this stuff on me. When you go for a traditional beauty therapy appointment for a facial, and they sit you down and ask you what your problems are, and then they will come up with all these different facials that you can do and all these products you can use, you're loading this woman down with like, first of all, you're not okay as you are, and here is just like all of the time and money that you can sink into being a better version of you that's more acceptable. It's
based on this model of pain point psychology.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sit with me anymore. Like I've been there and I've done it, and I'm like, if you want to do that, it's cool. And again, I'm not in the business of being like, you guys are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But for me and my business, I don't want to be part of that anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pass that on to my kids.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that comes back to, like, what aligns with me and my family, and what, especially having a daughter. I'm like, she doesn't need to be told anything that's wrong with her.
Yeah. When you go into business at a later age, you get to, and we're not at a late age, let me just say
spring chicken.
We are spring chickens. But when you go into business at a later age, you get to kind of do it with a type of integrity that is like hard earned. You don't just get that type of integrity when you're 18 years old,
True.
you have to earn it by doing the hard yards in places you didn't want to be at, and doing things that you didn't want to do.
Absolutely.
To discover the voice that you want to be in the community,
or what not to do and what to do,
exactly,
and how you want to show up.
I think you were possibly the first person to do this here. How do you feel about the fact that that might not be the case for very long, that other people will come in and do it?
There's definitely been a resurgence of facial massage. I've had to be really intentional, because I have not got it all sorted out, and that I really keep my eyes in my lane and keep it true to myself. I definitely, it's like, you can champion people without having them as your enemy or your competition. This idea of competition, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and people are going to come to you because they align with you and they feel with you. I think letting go of that tight hold on money and on your clients is going to serve you well, because people will come and go, money will come and go. If you're hustling to get everyone and you're starting to like look everywhere else, you're going to get the speed wobbles, and it's just going to be an issue. I fully believe there are enough faces in Tauranga, the Bay of Plenty, or further afield if I happen to move or whatever, to meet my quota that I need. And I hope more therapists. I actually feel excited. Like, that would be so cool. I'd love to, dreaming big, like I'd love to train other people and teach them my approach and philosophy of long-term looking after you as the therapist, so that you can serve others. Like, I'm excited about it, but I just think you've got to have that mentality that there's enough people and there's enough to go around.
I think that's why I resonate so much with you and the way that you've built this business, is that it feels very like you said, it's sustainable. It works for you and your family, and it's going to work for you and your family for a long time. You aren't trying to grow it astronomically very quickly. You're not trying to shove other people out of the industry. You're not trying to like gatekeep your clientele or your what you're doing. You just have such a positive, radiating presence. And as a business, I just wish more people would come over to that way of thinking when they are starting business.